Great American Pillow Fight coming at you.
Who's that saying stupid flag? Bird was installed, and when we all went piling out.
All you gotta do is block that guy. Your job ain't that hard. So just don't make it hard. Yes, sir, Coach. I got you.
Now, from Suite 11 at Louisiana Downs Casino and Racetrack in some basement in rural Central Florida, it's the Jumpin Offsides Podcast Network. Here's your host, Chance, JD, and Mike.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to Jumpin Offsides Nation. We're back to you tonight. Episode number 50, the golden episode. And we got the golden man right here, the legend. Wait for it, legendary. Sam, Chief Wilkinson, so good to have you in the building. We've been waiting on this episode for a long time. Long-time friend of ours. JD, give a little bit of his resume here and what he's done to deserve everything that's coming his way.
Man, Chief is one of my dear friends, I would say, and his son too, and we got introduced to hanging out with Chief after he retired, and so he's told us so many stories through the years. Like, we could just sit at Back Porch Records back in the day in James Parker's chairs, drinking those white Miller Lite cans and listen to stories for hours, because Chief has done a little bit of everything. Chief is going to be inducted into the Louisiana Tech Athletics Hall of Fame this coming Saturday. It is well deserved. He served as the athletic trainer and part-time at the end of his career as assistant athletic director for 30 years at Louisiana Tech. Before that, he worked for the Houston Astros as a manager there, as an athletic trainer. He was also he worked for different organizations throughout his career in winter leagues throughout the Caribbean League, worked part-time for the Cubs some. And so it is an honor to have Sam Wilkinson, two-sport athlete from Fair Park High School, played football and baseball at Henderson State University. Chief, we are so excited to have you here.
Thank y'all very much for asking me to come over here, and hope I don't mess it up too much. I was told by one of my sons now, don't talk too much. And I get over here and I see why. So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have a good time.
I'm telling you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you guys. We've all become very close friends and everything. And it's, I'm ready to go, y'all. Let's
get this going.
Well,
So,
like I said, don't worry about the mule now. Just load the wagon.
That's right.
So on the ride over here, you were telling me some stuff that I found interesting, kind of your story a little bit, and I want you to go through that for our listeners and viewers, to just kind of tell everybody, from the time you were at Fair Park and playing football and baseball, and how it all transpired to going to play football and baseball in college, and moving all the way to the Astros and Louisiana Tech and all that.
Well, I remember we lived in what used to be called West End. It's over by the old ballpark where the Shreveport Sports used to play. Well, I lived 2 blocks from there. And in the second and third grade, if the sports was home, we hung out at the ballpark, either behind the left field fence getting home run balls or stuff like that. And one day, the guy there asked me if they needed a bat boy. I wanted to know if I wanted to be a bat boy. So I was in the 3rd grade then, and that brought me into the clubhouse, and they gave me a uniform, and they told me what to do. Mel McGahey was the manager, and of course I was big-eyed, I not being in there with all those guys, and that's how I got started. But I grew up in the clubhouse with baseball.
Yeah.
And very comfortable there. Through the years, I've been able to stay in touch with friends in baseball and do like when the Gary Hughes was with the Cubs, I worked in the clubhouse out there for 5 years, spring training. I'd go out there and spend 3 months with them in spring training, travel with them on the road and all that. I had just being on the inside of the inside, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was telling you about how I had some autographed baseballs. My dad came home from work one day, and my brother and I was playing catch in the front yard with a brand new baseball. Well, he knew we didn't have a brand new baseball, so he said, "Where'd you get that ball?" And I said, "I went to that meeting downtown. Some famous baseball player. I was a captain of a team, and they told us to line up, and he'd give us a baseball, and the guy signed it. I don't know who he is." So Daddy took the ball and says, "You can't play with this ball. That ball's name is Dizzy Dean, and he's a famous player, and y'all can't play with this ball." So that was the first of my 350, 400 autographed baseballs
Wow.
that I got.
Wow.
He kept it in his drawer. And as the years went by and I had a chance to get autographs, I did ask for autographs. I had told you driving over about the Ted Williams thing. You want me to tell that?
Yeah,
now?
tell that story.
Well, my mother and dad never took a vacation until I got to work with the Astros. And my dad loved baseball, and they came to spring training. And I think it was in 68. Then Ted Williams was managing the Texas Rangers, and he and Harry the Hat Walker were standing behind the batting cage hitting, and Harry Walker thought that they should swing down at the ball, and Ted Williams was the other way around, drive the ball and all that. And so when they got through talking, I said, "Mr. Williams, would you sign this baseball for my dad? He's sitting right there in the front row, the only one in the stands." And he said, "Hold up, Daddy had an old Instamatic camera." Y'all, I don't know if y'all know what those are, trying to take a picture. So he told him, "Hold up," and he walked over there real close to him and told him, "Go ahead and take your picture." And my dad told him how much he enjoyed watching him play, and he thanked my dad for being a baseball thing. And he turned to me and signed the baseball and told me, thanked me very much for doing that. That was my first big time player. Ted Williams, listen, man alive, you sitting there next to him, I broke out in a cold sweat. I mean, you read about Ted Williams all the time, how great he was.
Yeah.
But that was kind of how it all got started. And I have a lot of baseballs that were signed, but like I handed the baseball to Mickey Mantle and asked him to sign it. I handed the ball to Yogi Berra and asked him to sign them. And some of those guys, all those guys like that, I actually handed the ball to him. Bob Feller. Here's an interesting story. We go, now this is going to be about a 3-part story if you got time.
We got plenty of time.
We go to Cooperstown to Baseball Hall of Fame. And so we stay in the bed and breakfast. And I come down and sit. And Diane came down, and I stood up and pulled the chair out for her. Well, a lady sitting on the end of the table down there said, "You must be from the South." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she said, "Well, let me ask," she said, "do you mind? What are y'all doing here?" Well, Cooperstown, that's all baseball. I mean,
Yeah.
there's. I said, "We're here to see the Baseball Hall of Fame." And so she said, "I can't believe that y'all have come all the way up here from Louisiana." She said, now, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm going to come honest with you." I said, "They sent me up here to figure out how we lost that war." Well, and her husband said, "That's enough. I recognize that accent." So we go over to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and it was a humbling. I mean, I'm standing there in front of Babe Ruth's locker, and tears running up my eyes. All that stuff with all these players and great players and all this stuff, and you go through there and you get back in the back, and they have movies, old baseball. Well, I love that. So we go eat dinner and come back and go back there and say, I'm going to watch some movies. So we're sitting there, and the film broke the old film broke. Mm-hmm. So we sat there a while, and I got up and went up to the front, and there was a guy there in a red sport coat. And I said, excuse me, do you work here? And, yes, I do. He had a name, said Joe on his tab. So I said, well, we're trying to watch the film back there, the old film, and it's broke. He said, yeah. Said, it's going to be tomorrow before we can get that fixed. He says, you'll just have to come back tomorrow. I said, hold up a minute. You don't understand. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. My father died and never got to come see Baseball Hall of Fame. I have to see everything here. He said, I'll tell you what you do. You come back tomorrow, and we'll have the film ready. I said, well, do I have to buy another ticket? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, no. Heck no, that deal's off. You got to understand, I can't leave. I have to see this stuff. He says, okay. He says, you come back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, ask to see me, Joe, and I'll let you in. So I said, Joe, let me ask you a question. If you die during the night, do I still get in free? He said, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But anyway, it's a wonderful place. If you've never been there, you should go. Everything there is. Now,
so you played football and baseball at Henderson. You came back. You went to work at Shreveport, and then you got a call about going to work for the Astros.
I did. Let me. Y'all don't know this, but Beauty Furniture Company used to be right there on Texas Avenue when you cross that bridge coming in from Greenwood Road, and you go over the bridge and it turns into Texas Street. Mm-hmm. But Beauty's Furniture Store was right there, and it had caught on fire. And why I was going down by there, I don't know, but I stopped and got out. And all of a sudden, my brother come up and said, you need to go home. The Houston Astros are calling for you. So Daddy said for you to come home, so I go home. And they say, so I called and talked to them. And then I told them that I needed to visit with my parents about this. I had an extremely good job at Libby Owen Ford Glass in Shreveport. And they said, well, if that's what you want to do, you do it. So I called them back and took the job with the Houston Astros, AA trainer at Amarillo, Texas. Did not have any idea where Amarillo, Texas was.
Wind blows and it's cold.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
But unlucky as we were, the ballpark was right across the street from the stockyard. And if the wind blew a certain way, you knew where the cows were. So anyway, that was my first thing. I went to spring training and broke spring training, and we came to Amarillo. That was AA baseball, and that was in the old Texas League. And then from there, I come home in the wintertime. One winter I worked in got a job roughnecking in DeBerry, Texas, on a gas rig. And about the third day I worked there, I couldn't wait for baseball season to start again because there wasn't anything light out there to pick up. I mean, it was hard work. And I worked on a gas rig until it got time to February came, and I left and went back to spring training. But I was very blessed to be in baseball, which I truly love, and had a chance to be on the inside of the inside with the Astros. Had a great run there. I was there 10 years, and my first manager there was Grady Hatton. Bill Verdon was a manager at one time, played at Pittsburgh when they won the World Series, center fielder, super nice people. Leo DeRocha was a manager there. He had a lot of wonderful stories, and I got to introduce my dad to him. He was there, and at lunchtime we had lunch in the clubhouse for the players and Mr. DeRocha, and we had some stuff, and I brought it in for him, and I asked him, I said, Mr. DeRocha, my dad's outside. I said, could I bring him in and introduce him to you? And he said, yes. So I went and got him and brought him in and introduced him to Mr. DeRocha. And Mr. DeRocha told him, said, Sam, let me tell you something. He said, I know you heard that Babe Ruth said I stole his wristwatch, but I didn't give it. He gave it to one of his girlfriends, and I cleaned that up. But anyway, that was some of the people that we had the chance to be around. A lot of great players. They're just like we are. They're just super athletes. They're able to do things that average people can't do. But people don't understand the time that they put in. Young players in the minor leagues, the low minors, I've seen them come, and the Lord have mercy. I asked someone, does your mother know where you are? Lord have mercy, but they come from all over the country, all over the world. Latin players come there 14, 15 years old, first time away from home. And it was quite an experience. I had some good friends in there. And I had Cesar Cedeno, and we were in spring in instructional league in St. Petersburg, Florida. And the waitress told me, said, Sam, when this man right here, when when you come to breakfast, he comes down and points and says the same, when he wants the same thing you get. So I told him, come over here, and I told him, I said, I'm going to teach you how to order breakfast. I said, this is eggs, bacon, ham, hash browns, biscuit, gravy. I said, now you tell me how to say that in Spanish. They said, do whatever they have on, say. And I said, okay, now you say this. So I told him how to order breakfast. Well, he and I become very, very close friends. And he had a great career, Cesar Cedeno. But people don't know that's a hard life. Those young players coming out of the Dominican, even like signing all the local kids going to play baseball, it's a rude awakening because everybody there is a baseball player from someplace, and everybody plays it. And it's tough to wind through the minor leagues. In Amarillo, Texas, in '67, meal money for the players was $3 a day. The manager and I got $5. But we learned to eat at places like Woolworth's Cafe. You could go there and get breakfast for 35 cents and those types of things. There wasn't no high dining in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
All bus league.
Right.
And I told Jim Oakes one day, we were talking about team travel at Tech. And I told him, I said, Jim, you know I've been in more hotels than the Get In Bible. So,
now, you know, to go further, you told me a story earlier about when Joe Morgan, and y'all remember Joe Morgan from ESPN baseball, whenever when he was playing for the Astros, and you know, you were a trainer there, and then he went and played with Pete Rose and Johnny Bench. Tell the story about getting the baseball signed by them.
Okay. Well, they very seldom traveled that far from Tampa with the Cincinnati, but they were there that day, and Joe was there, and he come in the clubhouse, and we were visiting with everybody, and come back in the training room, and we were talking and all that. And I asked him, I said, what about Rose? And he said, yeah, they're on the bus. They're coming. He drove his car up there. So they get there, and I told him, I said, I wonder if you get you to sign this baseball, and do you think I could get Rose and Bench to sign it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So
You go ahead.
he said, yeah, so bring it around to the clubhouse. I went around into the clubhouse and had the baseball. He called him over and said, this is Sam Wilkinson, one of the trainers over there, said, he want to get y'all to sign this baseball. So Rose signed it, and Bench signed it. And he said, you're going to have a pretty good baseball right there. I said, with those three names on there. I said, yes, sir, I will. So that's how I got the baseball signed. It may be the only one in the world.
Wow.
There's
all
no
three
telling
of them
what it's
signed.
worth.
Yeah. Now, my middle son, Ro, has all that in a nice memorabilia thing like that.
Yeah, you can't let Captain have a hold of
No,
that.
he'd already sold it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or the twin boys played ball with it.
Yeah. All right. So you're working for the Astros. They come in and they tell y'all that basically without telling y'all, there's going to be some changes. So you got it in your mind that, there might be some layoffs, some people let go, some organizational change, and y'all are in the middle of a game. What happens?
All right, Coach, this is what happened. I'm sitting there, and the phone rings in the dugout, and it was about 4 here to that front door. And Bobby Lillis was one of the coaches. He turned and answered the phone and looked kind of funny and turned to me and said, Sam, it's for you. Well, my dad had been sick, and I thought something had happened. So I went down there and I answered the phone. And on the other end, it was Pat Collins calling from Louisiana Tech. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I've got a ball game going. Andy Messersmith's pitching. We're on national television. If you turn your TV on, you'll see me talking to you on the telephone. So he said, Coach Lambright asked me to call you. Our trainer, Billy Belding, had just resigned and want to know, would you be interested in that? And I thought for a second. I said, Pat, tell Coach yes, but let me call you back after this game, and I'll call you at home. So I called him back and told him I was very interested in to please tell Coach Lambright. So the next day I went to the front office and talked to Tal Smith, who was the assistant. He was a farm director, and told him what was going on. And they gave me the blessing. I didn't have to travel with the team, that I could go home and see about this job. So I went home and met with Coach Lambright and took the job, and went to work there July the 1st, 1977. And worked there 30 years, Coach. Never had a bad day. Had some days way better than others.
Right.
But never had a bad day. And like I told Jim a while ago, one morning I was getting up at 5 o'clock. Had to be there at 5:30 because the first weightlifting group, football, lift weights at 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
Had to get there. And I said, this is this is like having a real job. And,
During the Dooley years.
Right.
Dooley, we already had a change of coaches and all that. And I'd trained enough coaches. So anyway, I kept pawing along, retiring, and I figured up in July the 1st, I'd give me 30 years of service. And I said to myself, Self, nobody else will work here 30 years like I've done it. Totally dedicated to it. So that's when I went to Jim Oaks and I announced my retirement. And hadn't looked back. Sue sometimes about to go to football games and stuff, and I can't make her understand that I've been there and done that. I've been there and done that. But
333 consecutive games, Mike Pearson, on the football field that Chief went to.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, sir.
How about that?
It's a lot. It's a lot of games.
But anyway, it was. But I wouldn't have swapped it. I'm the luckiest man in the world. Luckiest man. Look at the people that go to work every day that don't like what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I went to work every day loving what I did. I couldn't get there fast enough, and I couldn't do enough to help everybody or do my job. And I loved it. I thoroughly loved it. But one day the light come on, and it's okay. It's okay to say, I didn't surrender, but I said, I've had enough. I don't need this aggravation. And and it was, Lord, I seen it change. I saw it change in athletic injuries when we have a knee injury and we put a cast on them that must have weighed 50 pounds from their ankle to their hip. And the thing was this big, and Lord, have mercy. And one time, John David, we cut the cast off of one of them, and his thigh was about that size, and he fainted on the table, fell back on the table. His leg was so small. But then we figured out we could put electric stimulators on there, and now they have it, put it in a machine when they get through operating on it. They started bending the knee and all that. It's always the knee. The knee takes you out.
That's what took Mike out.
So it's always the knee. But I've been very blessed to work with Billy Bundrick in Shreveport, 30 years there with Dr. Bundrick.
Dr. Andrews, any?
Well, I know Jim Andrews personally. He and Bundrick was nice friends and all that. And we got to travel all over the country. We went to men's basketball. One time we played in Japan. Now, to go to Japan with basketball, you got to have a birth certificate. Now, it took the secretary over a year to get birth certificates so we could get passports.
Wow.
But that's, and they didn't know, some of them didn't know where we were going. Oh, Chief, where are we going? I said, Japan. When we going to get there? About tomorrow morning. But anyway, it was quite an experience over there. Lord, people everywhere. The only thing is, in the hotel, the furniture was cut low to the floor. That kind of low cut, and people sitting kind of like little people, you know. So, and they bow to you all the time. Now, I told Dave in this radio, I said, I ain't bowing to nobody else. I'm tired of bending over, and I bend over, and they bend over, and they bend over, and you bend over. I said, I ain't bowing to nobody else. I had enough of that. Lord have mercy.
Well,
That's the truth.
Mike, I know you'd asked this before we got on, but who was your trainer at Florida, and how was your interactions there with him?
Yeah, no, I had asked Chief if he knew Chris Patrick, who's the Gator legend himself. I mean, Chris, we all called him CP. I believe he started at the University of Florida at some point in the 60s, because I know he was there when Coach Sparger was playing. And then CP, I think he retired. It may have been about 5 years ago, but I'm pretty sure he had served over 6 decades at UF, and he's in the Gator Hall of Fame, and probably has the similar stories that Chief would have of just all the different players and seeing that the changing of the athletes' mindsets, and even just from their profession of how they rehabbed a guy who got an ACL injury in, say, the 70s, to how they, when they finished their career, how the difference of technology, number one, and then just the evolution of how the surgeries would be done, having arthroscopic things versus the big open scars and incisions. So I mean, there's just so many great stories these guys can tell. And one in particular with CP is that this is before the NIL days when everybody was getting paid. But at University of Florida, we were a Nike school, so I had twisted my ankle really really bad, and CP kept wanting me to wear this big honking brace. I said, CP, I can't wear this thing, dude. I'm just going to tape my ankle up. And he had this voice like this, and he told me, you ain't putting no tape on your shoe. And I said, CP, I'm not wearing this brace. It's just too bulky, and why can't we just tape spat my shoe and, be done with it? And he just kept going on and on. And finally, I just kind of had enough. So I just went in the training room and got about 3 or 4 rolls of tape and just had one of my buddies tape my ankle up on the shoe. And I went out there for pregame, and man, he started ripping me. And he finally told me, he goes, "Doggone it, I told you we couldn't tape our stuff because our Nike contract." And I said, "What?" So he brought me back in the training room, and he started drawing Nike on my shoes, so that way we could get away with having my shoes spatted.
Let me ask you a question. Didn't he invent Gatorade? Didn't it come from Florida State? I mean, from
No,
Florida? That's where the
came from
name
Florida.
Gatorade come from?
Yeah, and he definitely was a part of that, collecting
Yes.
the sweat. These guys, what they did is they would wear rubber surgical gloves during practice, and CP would collect these gloves, and they'd collect the sweat. And so he definitely had a big hand in the
Yes.
data collection for sure during that process. And I'm assuming he worked pretty closely with Dr. Cade and that crew of scientists there at UF when all that was going on. So hopefully CP maybe got a stock option or two out of that deal, but I don't know that for certain or not.
Well, I always heard that he was big into that, developing that Gatorade stuff.
Yeah, no, he was definitely.
That's
And then
wonderful.
I've heard stories of the old school trainers where guys were, probably being a little too soft, and guys like Chief and CP would, they would tell them to do something, and then give them some placebo type of medicine, and then come back and tell them later on that, hey, I really didn't do anything for you. I just made you get off your ass and get out of the training room. Some tough love goes a long way, and I think some athletes probably still need it today.
We get into two-a-days, and it's the second week of two-a-days, nobody likes anybody.
Yeah.
And I had them come to me and say, "Chief, I can't practice today." And what's wrong? He said, "I feel so bad," and all that. And I said, "Well, let me ask, come on in the office here. Let me ask you a question. If we were playing for the national championship at 3:00 this afternoon, could you play?" He said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Well, then you can practice. Jump on out there, baby."
Yeah. Good old reverse psychology and all. Yeah.
We're glad to have them. And I'm going to tell them at that thing Saturday night that all those people that I loaned $1, $2, and $3 to, it's time to pay up. Because they're the ones that need $2 to get gas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, got a lot of precious memories. The greatest fraternity in the world. The greatest fraternity in the world is college athletics, because you have those teammates the rest of your life. And every time we get together, everybody becomes an All-American, and some of them will win the Heisman Trophy and all that stuff. We all got better every year.
The touchdown run, the touchdowns get more, and the feats get greater. So as a guy who just met you, where did the nickname Chief come from?
I don't know. They hung that on me because every time something happened, I had to handle it. So they started calling me the Chief Indian.
Okay.
Chief. I was just the chief. Anything happened, I handled it.
You were the guy. You were the guy who all the problems got unloaded on.
That's exactly right.
Middle of the night problems too.
Well, I stopped them from calling me when I figured out how to turn the phone off. But they called and said, I got a headache and need an aspirin. I said, well, go to the drugstore and get some. I said, don't. But anyway, I wouldn't give anything in the world for the 30 years at Tech. And then I had 10 years in professional baseball. The good Lord, and I'll say this, has blessed me to no end. And to add on top of all that, I got 3 wonderful sons.
That's right.
And everything. But I don't. People ask, you miss football? I said, no, I don't. And dang sure don't miss two-a-days. But people don't realize the time that the players and that the coaches put in during football season. And I'm on to,
Unless you're Brian Kelly and you're going to the country club and the beach during off week.
well, I don't have no dog in that race. But they're people put in. And one thing I didn't know was a shock. When I retired and went back to the first game I ever went to and sat in the stands, I didn't know y'all acted like that up there in the stands. Them people are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tech never did anything right. They never had the right people on the field. They had the wrong plays. The referee made a bad call. And so one guy asked me, he said, was that pass interference? And I said, let me tell you something. We're sitting probably 60 yards from where it happened, and that referee was right there by it. I got to go with him. But, so I'd go back to the tailgate and have a hot dog and stuff like that. Then I'd go home and listen to it on the radio and sit on my back porch. But anyway, it was quite an experience. And like I said, I was raised my 3 boys there with me on the sidelines. If they weren't playing ball, they were out of school. They were on the football practice field with me, traveling. If we went by bus, I took them by bus on the bus with me. They could go with me, and I always thought that was good. Although I had to, they learned a lot in the locker room.
I bet they
Sure.
did.
Well, I talked to Captain time and time again, and one of the things Captain attributes to his health is like never been sick, never had a cold, never had the flu, not one time. He said, because I grew up in a locker room.
That's
he
right.
said, I'm immune to everything.
That's right. But it was a good time. And
What's your most memorable football game that you were a part of? I know you were at Nebraska, whenever Troy Edwards had the big day and just other ones here and there, but what's the most memorable one for you?
The Nebraska game was really eye-opening, and him and Tim Rattay put on a show, but it was so nice. But the fans there, we dressed under the stadium down there in an old house, wooden house type thing. And then when the game ended, the players go into the locker room. The fans was clapping their hands and cheering. We've never seen an offense like that. We've never seen football played like y'all played that, throwing that football around. And Troy and Rattay had a beautiful day. One of the real highlights was beating Alabama.
Right.
Yes. Talk about that. Twice, huh?
Twice, 2 years in a row.
Beat them, yeah. Talk about that.
Beat them in Birmingham, and we beat them at their place on homecoming. Rattay was the quarterback, and it's one of them games where we'd score and they'd kick a field goal, or they'd score and we'd kick a field goal. And that's the same way we beat Michigan State. But they just never could put us away. We were always 2 or 3 points ahead or all that. and we kept screwing around. And I told Dr. Bundrick, I said, we're going to mess around and win this dang game. And said, there ain't no way they're going to let us. The referees ain't going to let us. So we come down to the end, and we get ahead. And now we're going to run the clock out. And, of course, the guy turned the clock on. He turned it on slow and turned it off slow and all that stuff. But anyway, we're driving up around about the 4-yard line, and Croton telling Britte to take a knee. And I'm saying, Coach, let's go ahead and score. So I'm trying to get him to score. I want 7 more on him. I mean, I'm getting greedy now. I'm getting cocky. Clock running out. We got a lead. Got a chance to score again. But we didn't. He told me to get back. So anyway, we ran the clock out and won the game. That was the second time. First time we played in Birmingham. But as we were leaving in the buses, we got beer cans started hitting the bus as we were going down the street through about fraternity houses and stuff. And they thought we were number one. And all that. I mean, they were some kind of nice about all that. But anyway, that was that. We did the same thing to Michigan State. We didn't have a chance to win. And it was one of those things where they'd score, we'd score, or the game's coming down to the end. We forced them to punt, and he shanked the punt. And we got the ball extremely close and ran a few plays. And I forget who threw the touchdown pass to, but and then they ran the clock out. And but it was a beating Baylor one time. One of the first times we won, we beat a big school. I believe it was Baylor that we beat over there, and it was very emotional. Winning that, finally, we're trying to be number one and all these things, and had to add on to the stadium to meet all the requirements and all that stuff. And we finally pulled it off under Joe Raymond Peace. We won that, beat them, and it was a lot of great moments. And again, I was so blessed. Just trying to think about some of the players we had that went on and played in the NFL, and coaching and all that. We had great coaches over there for a long time.
One of Mike's old teammates with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Scobie, was a Louisiana Tech guy. He played with Mike in Jacksonville. I know they talk. He's a tremendous golfer too, so we've shared stories about all that.
Well, but he's a kicker. He didn't have to go. He didn't have to do one-on-one.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
That's right. So we have one of our Jumpin Offsides Nation listeners, Perry, came in and said, "Hey, Sam, don't let them keep you too long. They're about to throw out the first pitch." So what we do know is, let me tell you about this baseball-loving guy right here. Last night, my son and I are sitting there watching the game at bottom of the ninth. I said, "Buddy, I can't make it another inning. I got to go to bed." I went to bed, but let me tell you about this guy right here. Watched all 18 innings and put it down about 2 o'clock this morning. Didn't you?
Got mad because the game was over.
But you saw a good one then. You saw one for the ages.
Well, tonight would be a good night to watch. They got that boy pitching.
Yeah.
But it was just a wonderful baseball game. But plays at the plate, hitting the relay people, double plays, and all that stuff. And I watch the umpires. I used to know all the umpires and all that but like last night, the umpires were right on top of stuff, made the right calls. It was just a perfect evening. And like I said, when that was over with, I said, "Is that all?"
It disappointed.
I said, "I can't believe it."
Who was your favorite umpire?
Well, I had several of them: Dale Ford, Ted Henry, bunch of uh, some of those guys. We were all very close friends coming through the minor leagues,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got into the big leagues. And when they'd come to Texas, I'd go out there to see them play and take Roe and Trey with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd stay with the umpires. And I told John, we'd ride to the ballpark with the umpires and be in the umpires' locker room, be sitting in the visiting dugouts and all that. And we were there one time where Baltimore was there. And Pat Gillick was the general manager, and he had been assistant farm director when I was with the Astros. And I knew Pat and had stayed in touch with him. And he was there, and we were talking in the dugout, and Cal Ripken come out, and he introduced us to Cal Ripken and all that. So he went and took his batting practice and all that, and came back. And he said, "I got to go up and change clothes, but do you got anything you want me to sign?" And Roe told him, said, "No, we don't have anything." And there was a big bag of baseballs there. So he just started taking them out and hand me that pen. And he signed everybody. He signed about 6 or 8 baseballs for us.
Really?
So that's how we got the Cal Ripken ball.
Wow.
But it was quite an experience. And I was tickled to death to do that. And as we look back now and stuff, Roe said that he didn't realize that other folks didn't do that too,
Right.
because all we'd ever done was go with Daddy.
That's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had some wonderful trips and stuff, and I've been very blessed. A lot of things have happened down through the line. That was funny, and things that we did. Go back a little bit, like y'all, our first coaches were our mother and daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very blessed, honored to be doing this weekend, to be into this Hall of Fame. I was totally shocked when they called me. I just couldn't talk. I lost my breath. I couldn't talk. But I'm so honored and so pleased, and thank the good Lord for giving me being able to work 40 years in a profession I loved, athletics, and being in athletics. And like I said, I've been in more hotels than the Gideon Bible.
Well, the Dodgers are up 1-0 right now. So.
Good. Well, I enjoyed Lasorda when the Dodgers would come to Houston. I'd visit with him. He was a piece of work. They all good people. It's just a strange life. Surprisingly to everybody, it's a hard life. See, they were in Toronto the other night, got through playing and left probably 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and flew to Los Angeles and got in there at daylight or something or another, and had to be at the ballpark at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But those are long days.
Mm-hmm.
But they're well taken care of at the ballpark and everything. I just wish it had played 20 innings. I think one time Houston and the Giants got in a fight, and Doug Rader grabbed Cepeda. Now that was a match, but the game played 18 or 19 innings, and I think we had to come back the next day to finish it.
Wow.
So that gave us 20-something innings. I believe I'm right on that, but that's a long time ago. But it's just a wonderful world, wonderful sporting and all the travel and all that stuff. But when I was at home, I had spent a lot of time with the guys, and them being able to help me on the sidelines when if they weren't playing football or something or other, they were me on the practice fields picking up towels in the locker room and doing all them things. They putting stuff in the dryer and all that. They could run it. When they got to be managers, they had their own key, and I said, okay, y'all lock it up. I'm going to the house.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was some of the stuff that happened.
Well, Chance, let's talk a little bit about what's happened in the last 2 weeks of college football. We've had some quite a few terminations, I should say. And I'll give y'all props. Y'all told me, we made a bet a while back about who was going to have an interim coach this year. You didn't believe that Billy would be an interim, and I didn't believe that LSU would have an interim. And I'll be damned if we're both wrong.
Yeah.
And I would have sworn up and down that LSU wouldn't have let Kelly go this year because they had a $53 million buyout. Mm-hmm. However, I guess I was not aware of some of the inner workings inside the building and how, I read a deal today where they said that on game days, 6:30 game, he's at home at 1 o'clock checking his mail and stuff. He's so checked out that he thought that he could go to LSU and win a national championship without putting the work in. Now, granted, he's 63 years old, and I understand there's a lot of things there that you go back and you look. It's like when he got introduced and he had the fake Southern accent, and he comes in and he says, and I haven't even won all of my games yet. Now, wait a second. This is us. This is our games. This isn't my game.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it, it seems like he was doing it for himself. And, it happened.
Yeah. And we'll see if it was too early, too late, if he was checked out, if he wasn't. Hard to believe anything on the internet now, what people say, oh, he was checking mail and he was doing this. And if it's true, then he was begging to get fired anyway.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't? $53 million to not do my job well? And I don't know. I shouldn't say that because these guys are invested. They've done it. Chief said it best a minute ago, and it does make me mad as a fan because he saw it firsthand, the hours they put in, the work they put in, the time. Now, granted, we look at it as Kelly, oh, he this, he that. He didn't forget how to coach. He has put his time in. He has done it. And we as fans constantly like, oh, nothing's good enough. It was the same way with us and our coach. It's that way with every program that's not good enough. Man, we all need to take a step back and just like, man, whatever. Because it's not like we're all funding the program anyway. Like if a James Davison wants to say that, if a Gary Condren wants to say that, if a Todd Graves wants to say that they have a little bit of fire behind it. But we as fans, we don't have a say in anything. We ought to just be thankful. What I say is I get 12 Saturdays that I get to watch my team play. And that's the way I'm excited. If we're 0-11 getting to watch that 12th game, I'm as excited into it and everything. And I think that's the way that we should all be as people who look on and we don't change the outcome of the game. We don't change the who's in the pecking order or whatever. It's the guys that get tired of giving the big money that do. Mm-hmm. And that's my take on it. And
what say you, Chief?
Well, the game, I hate that this happens to those guys losing their jobs. Mm-hmm. That's the downside of college athletics is that the people in charge sometimes mess it up because they really don't know what's going on, and it is about alumni and winning the games and all that. But I've seen them come in off of a road trip and go straight to their office and start working on the next day's workout and stuff. The other thing I want to say is this. I think personally, and I saw this happening, that we we give the players so much information that they can't play football.
Good point.
Case in point, work out, lift weights at 6 in the morning all the way to lunchtime. Go to lunch, come back, position meeting, practice, position meeting after practice, weights again the next day. Technology, we have so much technology that they can't play for trying to think and all these things.
Right.
I don't know if we've overdone it on they got stuff on the sidelines. They've got laptops and all that stuff right on the sidelines, computer printouts showing the defense and all that stuff. But to me, it's got so technical that they just can't play.
At the end of the day, it's blocking and tackling.
That's right. Now, one of the main things is you got to block and you got to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. I don't know how you teach it, but that'll get you fired if you can't block and tackle.
That's right.
And that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the downside of that. And I hate to see people lose their job, but they're not going home poor.
Nope, they're not.
And well, that's like I said about baseball. They fire the managers, and the managers and stuff don't have anything to do with paying the players to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
The people upstairs give them all that money, and if they don't play, he gets fired for their mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, I think, from college athletics because you recruit the kid, you coach the kid. You know, the wins and loss record are on you. You know,
that's right.
And so, pro baseball is a little bit different because a lot of times the managers don't get to say so and who they draft and how they get taught in the farm leagues. I mean, it's all a process, and you just hope that you're in the right organization that they really put into their farm system to be able to get those guys up there to the big leagues.
Of course, let me share something with you. Recruiting high school players to come play, you have to speculate how good he's going to be in 2 or 3 years. That's not an exact science.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not an exact science. We had some good-looking guys that couldn't pour water out of a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But and then you won't say, who signed that guy?
Mm-hmm.
Or why did we sign that guy? He can't play.
Why couldn't we develop it?
Yeah, but it's a hands-on, and it's hard. And I'm saying this for the coaches. It's hard. I've seen them. Mm-hmm. I know how hard they work. And like I told the guy in the stands, I said, let me tell you something. They don't just draw them plays up on the sidelines over there and send them in. They've been working on this thing since February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't just make that stuff up.
That's right.
But what about John Day? We got more to go. Anything else?
Man,
I told you some stories.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a disclaimer right now.
All
Can
right.
I?
Absolutely.
Basically, I've told y'all all some version of the truth.
It's your version of the truth.
Well, we're going to run through a few games here.
Okay,
just kind
go
of
ahead.
pick some, and we'll let you pick. And I know Mike's not here, but we'll send them to him. He sent us a text and told us he was worn out and he was going to jump off. But we're gonna start with number 9 Vanderbilt at number 20 Texas. Vandy is 7-1, Texas 6-2. Texas is a 2.5 point favorite. The over and under is 45.5.
I think Vegas got that right. I like Texas at home, and I like them to hit the over.
I think Arch Manning being questionable is going to change the game for them a little bit. I don't know if their backups got much experience.
Is that Caldwell?
I think Pavia is ready. I think Vandy's going to go to 8-1. I think
Okay.
they're going to beat Texas by a field goal in Austin.
I agree.
I'm going with Vandy.
You like them to hit the over? Or the
I like
under?
them to hit the over.
Okay. You like the over in that one, Chief?
No, I don't know anything about that. I ain't into gambling, man. Right now, don't talk to me about no gambling. Yeah, the NBA got their hands full. But I like Vanderbilt.
All right.
All right.
I'm the lone wolf there.
Lone Wolf. Let's see here. We're going to go to let's go to number 10 Miami at SMU. Miami is a 12.5-point favorite at SMU. Over and under 50.5.
I like SMU to cover that. I'm not saying they're going to win. I think they cover that. Give me Miami on the win and give me the over.
I'm going to take that same bet.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Miami.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see here. Number 7 Ole Miss, 7-1 at South Carolina. No, I'm sorry. It's at Ole Miss. South Carolina at Ole Miss. South Carolina 3-5. Coming off of what should have been a win.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped the ball with about 2 minutes to go against Alabama last week.
Mm.
Ole Miss is a 12.5-point favorite, over and under 54.5.
I'm going to say this is where South Carolina jams them up. We know Lane is due for one of these a year. It's either going to be them or Florida that get them. I'm going to go with South Carolina hanging them up, and obviously they'll cover on that. And then I'm going to take the under. Because I think South Carolina's defense is going to have to step up. And so I like that, the under.
I'm going to take Ole Miss to win the game. I'm going to take South Carolina to cover, and I'm going to take the under.
Who you liking that one, Chief?
I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
They got pretty blue helmets.
They do have that. Well, I think they're going acid wash this game. So we'll see what they do.
All right, we got let's see, number 18 Oklahoma 6-2 at number 14 Tennessee 6-2. That's a 6:30 kick Saturday on ABC. Tennessee's a 3.5-point favorite, over and under 56.5.
I like Tennessee. I think they're going to have more shot plays, dynamic plays in that one. I like Tennessee, and I like them to hit the over. So I like Tennessee all the way there, heavy on the gas.
I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think Mateer kind of had a really rough week last week against Ole Miss. I don't think Tennessee's defense is as good. So I'm going to take Oklahoma with the upset in Knoxville, and I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take Tennessee.
Oh, I like how you
Rocky
think.
Top.
Been
Rocky
there.
Top, Tennessee.
Been there.
That's right.
We were there one time playing. Excuse me just a second.
No, you're good.
Go ahead.
And the game was getting ready to start. And one of my managers came to me and says, "Chief, you need to go back in there in the bathroom. So-and-so was in there crying." I said, "Crying?" So I go back in there and I shut the door. "But what's wrong with you, boy?" He said, "I can't go out there, Chief." I said, "Wait, why?" He said, "I've never seen that many people before." I said, "Let me tell you something. Listen to me. They didn't come to see you. They're here to see Tennessee. Now, come on, let's go."
You know it's going to be a good one. And he said, "Let me tell you something."
They didn't come
I
here to
believe
see you.
now this wasn't the one that was in there crying, but I believe your safety that game was Matt Massey, number 5, because he talks to me all the time about playing in Tennessee in Neyland Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about old Matt.
Oh, he's a super nice guy. And he was a piece of work, too.
He still is. He
character.
still is.
Hard worker.
He was a roommate with one of your sons, wasn't he?
Yeah, one
Roe?
time.
They wrecked the car.
There's been a lot of them rotate through the Wilkinson system.
No, Matt's a good friend of the show, and he's even better heart, man. What a great guy.
I hope to see him this weekend.
I hope you get
I'm sure
to,
he'll
too.
be there
I
for
hope he's
sure.
around.
I do
I've
too.
told him for sure.
Good. Well, thank you.
Well, we're going to end this on the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Jacksonville, Florida. University of Florida interim coach Billy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Going to be taking the Gators to Jacksonville to play the 6-1 Georgia Bulldogs.
Where are they ranked?
Georgia is ranked number 5.
Okay.
They are a 7.5 point favorite with a total of 50.5.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, they've been talking up Georgia's offense a lot. I've been listening to a lot of different shows talk about them, and their offense has picked up. I think this is the day that we see like a Carson Beck. I think we see Gunnar Stockton struggle a little bit in the air. I think he runs the football really well. I really like Florida's back end. They're playing pretty decent. So I'm going to take Florida there to cover. And, hell, give me the gas. Billy Gonzalez is going to be talking to Uncle Urban Meyer. We're going to get it back together right here. Over, Florida and the gas.
My question is, here's the difference between, say, an LSU and Florida. I think that LSU will probably play inspired football because it seems like not hardly very many players like Kelly for some reason. All the players at Florida like Napier. He was a great guy. He recruited all those guys. He was heavily involved. Will they play inspired football for an interim? That's my question. I don't know that. I think that, Florida matches up pretty well with Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I think if they play inspired football, they keep it close. I think that at the end of the day, Florida's close talent-wise. Mm-hmm. You just got to have the coaching.
And the explosive plays.
If they open that offense up and they have a creativity about them and they're not running, running on second down and third down and punting from midfield, or going for it 4 times on the same drive on your own end of the field, stupid shit like that, I think that Florida's got a shot. But I'm going to take Georgia. Close game. I think Florida covers. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Georgia, and I'm going to take the under.
Yeah.
What about you,
Chief?
Charlie?
I like Florida.
No, I love it.
Come on
I love
now.
it. I wish Mike was
I
on
like
there.
Florida. We played there. And I like it. I've always liked it. But I don't know. It's a coin toss. You don't know. Well, you got all these young. You don't know. Every team's got a game in them someplace. Mm-hmm. You just don't know where it is. Mm-hmm. And Vanderbilt has showed that through the years. Come up and beat Alabama and these things. But every team has a game in them. What always scared me was playing one of those lesser schools. Mm-hmm. It scared me to death because they got a game in them. Mm-hmm. And
you don't know whose girlfriend broke up with his boy, all that.
Right. Mm-hmm. But anyway, well,
Chief, that's going to probably do us for this week, and we sure do appreciate you coming on and visiting with us. We are excited about being there Saturday for your induction into the Louisiana Tech Hall of Fame. What an honor it is, for you and your family and your boys to have a legacy that they'll be able to remember and their kids will be able to remember. And us as friends will always have. And we can't wait to be there and see it and cheer you on. And so give us a little final word. And I know you've got some one-liners, you always have had for me. So I need one of those one-liners.
I appreciate that very much. I think I told Roe the other day now, y'all, I certainly don't want to mess it up, but y'all don't know how honored I am for this to happen. I never dreamed that this would happen. And when they called me, I couldn't talk. but the good Lord done it, and just keep the faith, and we're going to be okay.
That's right.
We're going to be okay.
And remember, always number one.
That's right. Don't you forget it either. I hung that on you a long time ago. You got to know your personnel.
That's right. You got to know your personnel.
Always number one.
You got to know your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me over here today, and I'm very impressed with the operation here.
Well, thank you.
We're trying.
We're going to get there. We appreciate you. Okay. We love you. We thank you for being part of episode 50. And as we 50, always say, strive for perfection and settle for excellence. That's a wrap.
Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
gotta do is block that guy. Your job ain't that hard. So just don't make it hard. Yes, sir, Coach. I got you.